Video F4, Monopoly and Market Power. The definition: one seller, many buyers. No close substitutes. It is these first two characteristics that lead to the most stereotypical outcome of monopoly, that is, pricing power, the ability to set price above marginal cost. We call this market power, and we say that our firms that have the ability to set price above market power are price takers. We have taken these first two characteristics of monopoly and noted earlier in the class that more generally we can call this market power, and the outcome of having power within the marketplace is the ability to set prices, or more specifically, to be a price maker within the market. We've illustrated this in our supply and demand framework, starting from a demand curve and then a marginal cost curve, by simply arguing that the firm, a single firm, will find it advantageous to set price somewhere up on the demand curve, leading to a quantity that buyers will choose to purchase, and this price set by monopoly will lead to profits that might otherwise not be attainable. The degree of market power is determined by the elasticity of the demand curve facing the firm. How much above marginal cost the firm would choose in order to maximize profit is one measure of this degree of market power. In fact, there's a simple formula for this price markup, but we won't use that in the course. A true monopoly also has barriers to entry. There must be some kind of barrier to entry which keeps other firms out. Otherwise, new firms would soon be competitors and it wouldn't be a monopoly anymore. Thus, barriers to entry are a required part of the definition for a monopoly to be sustainable. Now to the question of how much to mark up pricing for a price maker. We've said some to this point, but now we can be much more specific. Recall back to video E2 that a firm's total revenue has to first increase with the quantity sold and then decrease. Beginning with the idea of a demand curve, we can look below to ask what happens with the total revenue, the total number of dollars in this market. If we start from selling nothing, we know that the total revenue will be zero. If we are giving away the product, that is a price of zero, the maximum number that people would choose to use, then we also will have zero, and then somewhere in the middle, total revenue will reach its maximum. What we are interested in is identifying what the firm's marginal revenue is in contrast to simply how much people would buy at each price, the demand. Because in order to answer the question, how should price be marked up, we ultimately want to be using the condition marginal revenue equals marginal cost if the firm is choosing to maximize profit. We can use the total revenue curve, though, to get immediately to the idea of marginal revenue. Remember, marginal revenue is just the change in the total revenue divided by the change in quantity. That is the additional revenue earned by the firm as it sells one more unit of the good. And that's simply equal to the slope of the total revenue curve. The slope of the total revenue curve equals 0 at the maximum of total revenue, so we know that it must somewhere here in the middle of the demand curve be where the marginal revenue goes to 0. When the first unit is sold, that's going to be the same as the demand, how much people are willing to pay for the first unit. So the marginal revenue curve must fall below the demand curve and intersect the axis somewhere midway. Now we can use this idea of marginal revenue to show more specifically the firm's pricing and output decision in monopoly. Let's show that demand curve again. And now the marginal revenue curve, which lies below the demand curve. Now we can add a marginal cost curve for this firm. And now from this point, we can look at marginal revenue equals marginal cost and identify that intersection. That will tell us how much the firm would want to produce. To sell that amount, however, we're going to go up to the demand curve and across to the price that would be charged. So we see the markup above marginal cost here, and it's determined by the intersection of marginal revenue and marginal cost. So this is how we get to the precise pricing decision for a firm that is choosing to maximize profit.